Hello and welcome back to the United Devils podcast. This week we're going to be looking at United's drab draw at the Hawthorns and an emphatic victory against Real Sociedad in the Europa League round of 32 first leg, before looking ahead to the next matches against Newcastle at home and Sociedad also at home. With me today, I welcome back Prashanth, and we'll talk firstly about, it feels like an age ago, but it was only 7 days, the West Brom draw. Going into the match with, I say confidence, but whenever you progress in the cup, you always feel like there's a bit of momentum on your side. We had a strong team there, not in the best of form, but 90 seconds in, we concede a goal that I personally was worried about, the fact that Diagne was an aerial threat wherever he's been.
No-look goal. Let's put it that way, right? A no-look goal.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, and also he's clawing at Lindelof's face like the mountain. So it's those kind of decisions that you could say easily could go for you, but they've gone against us. You think about the Maguire decision against Burnley. In comparison to that, it's nowhere near as much as a foul as the one that Diagne did. And then you can think about, at the end of the first half, they blew 5 seconds after the allotted time. We were on the counter, a 4-on-1 or 4-on-2. And it was some shocking decisions went against us. But I think the bottom line, Prashanth, is that United didn't play well enough to win the game.
I completely agree with you. I think we weren't hungry enough to win the game. It starts right from someone like Rashford up front. And then if you look at the back line as well, we weren't solid enough at all. I mean, although we can credit Maguire for the header in the last minute, but both Maguire and Lindelof weren't strong enough. So I think it's a 3 points missed kind of a game rather than, we threw it away. We missed the game because we didn't turn up. We did not turn up against West Brom at all.
Yeah, well, only one person really turned up for the whole match, and Bruno Fernandes with another fantastic finish. Can't keep saying that he's now on 20 goals for the season after the Sociedad game, or 21, I believe. And for a midfielder, that is, it's sensational. Someone's going to tell him.
Do we change the name of our club now?
Maybe there's already a statue in the waiting. I don't know, but that is the thing. Is, like you said, we didn't play well enough, and actually West Brom had a lot of chances. And if it wasn't for someone who's been criticised quite a lot, David De Gea, we would have probably been behind. For that double save was sensational.
One is that. Second is Snodgrass. Snodgrass played as if he wanted to get selection for the national team all over again. And he ran over defense multiple times. It's not just once, which, kind of annoyed me. Kingsley Maitland-Niles, after a point of time, I thought he wanted to prove a point to Mikel Arteta, saying that you did a big mistake by letting me go. His back heel pass to Snodgrass, then the cross. And I was like, United are just caught sleeping all over again. Having said that, David De Gea played a blinder. His 2 saves obviously kept us in the game. But like I said, Arjun, we never turned up. And they did. And they showed why they should not be just taken as one of those teams who's fighting for relegation, although the table would suggest you that. But in the long run, West Brom are a team which can hurt a lot of top teams.
Yeah, well, of course, they're quite far behind. We talked about it on our midweek football focus, me and Suraj. We said that they're really, really low down in the table, them and Sheffield United. It's going to be tough for both of them to get out. We both sort of almost predicted that they wouldn't, but obviously now red card against Burnley is going to be hugely detrimental in that game. But let's talk about the decisions that went against United. The penalty, was that a penalty for you? And secondly, the thing at the end of the first half. What do you call that about refereeing? Is that poor refereeing? Is that just him playing by the rules?
I think it was poor refereeing after a point of time. I thought he had the time to make a call. He didn't. And what baffles my head so much is that if you're not sure, you might as well check again and again unless you give a correct decision. But you are not even checking, and you're not even asking someone. That's my first point. Second is that, a lot of managers said that United are given unfair penalties, undue penalties, etc., etc., etc. But you look at the goal which Diagne scored against Lindelof, how is that not even a foul? He's literally gone on someone's head, he's covered his face, and then he's headed the ball. there are two fouls for me here. One, you're not even on the ball and you've actually climbed on the player and then headed the ball. Second, you have actually manhandled the player to a certain extent. How is that not a foul? And what was the referee doing at that point of time? He said that the goal stands fine because he didn't see it. And when United players complained that to the referee said, no, it's fine. Now, coming to the end of the first of the foul, right? I don't know, Arjun. I'm pretty divided on that. I still don't have a concrete opinion on that particular sense, but I thought it was a poor refereeing, poor decision making. More than that, I think what really annoyed me after a point of time was somewhere down the line, right? All the managers' comments, the rival managers' comments have started to play on the referee's head. I think that, people are starting to think that maybe United try and claim these unfair penalties here and there. Because of that, a blatant foul is not even called as a penalty now. And this is not one game. It has happened to us in 3 games now. Even the game against Liverpool, we should have got a penalty, we didn't. And even against the game against City, I think, if I'm not wrong, there was a foul on, the game against City, right? And that should have been a penalty.
I think he was offside for, but I think the point, I think, was it? I know definitely for sure, the Sheffield United game, we had 2 decisions away cost us the game. Everton, how many added minutes were on at the end? I mean, was it extra 4 on to the 4 that were out?
I think the whole motive of that game was someone else to prove that Dominic Calvert-Lewin can actually compete with Harry Kane for England's number 1 now. That was the only motive for extending that last 5 minutes, from that 5 minutes to 9 minutes. Because the game ended at 8 minutes 40 seconds. Supposedly was supposed to end at 5, right? I think they gave that 3 minutes extra just to show Carlo Ancelotti that, you've got a striker like Hernan Crespo, which is Dominic Calvert-Lewin, then he's going to take over Harry Kane's place one day. And it's starting to annoy me. See, I understand that sometimes referees are human beings, they can make mistakes. I'm absolutely okay with it. But my bigger worry is that if you're not sure of a decision, then don't give it. Right? You have technology for you. You could take help of technology. It's okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the referees are up to. That's the secondary part. The primary part for me, which still worries me, is that why do you have to, and I think Harry Maguire called it in the press conference, that sometimes you have to play better and not depend on these decisions as well. And we haven't played well either. So if one thing does not lead you to results, then it's a big domino effect. Nothing leads you for a good 3-point win that way.
Well, absolutely. And I think the thing is that United in the league was certainly going through a really rough patch of form. 6 points from an available 15, 3 draws, 1 loss and a win. While they have scored in every single one of those games, I think, except for one, I think they've conceded quite a lot. And they have, and it's hugely detrimental at the moment. I think on the last podcast we were screaming for Eric Bailly to be back into the squad against West Brom, because even Maguire and Lindelof both said that Lindelof should have done better with the challenge. He was fouled, but Bailly would have been in a different situation, and we saw that against Sociedad, that even though he was a little bit rusty at the beginning, first 2 minutes was a little bit of a heart attack situation, he did iron out all those mistakes for the rest of the game, was really solid. Is that the centre-back pairing for the rest of the season? Eric Bailly and Harry Maguire?
As much as I want to give credit to Lindelof, right, but I don't think he's cut out for...
Credit to Lindelof. He's done fantastic.
Yeah, he's done fantastic, but I don't think he's ever nailed down that position saying that this is mine. Of course, not as Harry Maguire for me. We are playing Harry Maguire because we paid an 80 million price. He's probably better than Lindelof, hence he's playing there. But if I was a manager, if I had to choose, then Eric Bailly and Maguire would be my partnership for the rest of the season, because one complements the other. Harry Maguire's lack of pace is complemented by Eric Bailly's pace. Eric Bailly's rashness is composed with Harry Maguire's composure on the ball and handling the situation. This is not the Harry Maguire what we saw last year. He's much more matured now. He's much more calmer. He's organizing the defense. So I'm sure that a lot of effort has been put on. But, we even said the same thing during the Liverpool game, right? We were not confident with Lindelof's form. We don't know what is he going to do with. But Lindelof played probably one of his best games for us against Liverpool, because that front three, Lindelof and Luke Shaw, both of them, did not give that front three a sniff.
Yeah.
I think it is the teams which play a lot of aerial ball which causes Lindelof to... Yeah, which causes Lindelof to think twice whether to go for the ball or whether to try and take the man out.
Yeah.
Right. So I think United will have to find a new centre back in the summer window. That's top priority now. But till the summer window, I would put in Eric Bailly, of course, because a lot of fans have told me that I'm pretty hard on Axel Tuanzebe. For me, I don't think Axel Tuanzebe is cut out for Manchester United as of now. Probably a loan deal would do a lot of benefit for him because for me that PSG game was an outlier, and since that Axel Tuanzebe has only made mistakes rather than put in a definite performance. Of course, I understand that the match rhythm is different. He does not play regularly, etc., etc. But if you can't play regularly, go out for a loan deal. 6 months, 1 year, whatever you have, go out for a loan deal. Probably establish yourself comfortably once again. Sometimes you just need these loan deals, right? When you play regularly, you are a lot more comfortable. You understand the situation much more than what it is. So I really believe that Axel Tuanzebe is the one for future, but not right now. But right now, if I had to go, I would go for Eric Bailly and Maguire.
Well, I think the thing is, if you think about Lindelof's best games in the season, it was against PSG away, where no target man.
Chelsea.
It was Chelsea when it was against Werner, and he pocketed Werner. Although we're now starting to see that might not be as difficult as initially thought. Against Firmino at Anfield, he was brilliant. In the League Cup, not so much. But
I think the Spurs game he didn't play. He didn't play the Spurs game. But last year against Spurs game, he was good against Harry Kane. In spite of getting a lot of aerial balls, he was very good.
Yeah. It was really impressive because I think Maguire dealt with Kane and he dealt with Son's runs, and it got off well. Whereas, I mean, I think you can almost understand the fact that the team hadn't had pre-season and Spurs were literally raring to go. They'd already played 4 or 5 games, so they were fit and ready to play, and United just weren't. But regardless of that, Lindelof did do well against Spurs both times he played against them. And so you have to say that. But I think they're two different players, and I think you essentially.
But Arjun, I have this question for you, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you and me have watched Axel Tuanzebe's path for quite some time, and we've seen that he's not just another kid coming from academy. We always have high hopes from anyone who comes from the academy, and we hope that he or the person generally does well for us. But do you really believe in the talent of Axel Tuanzebe, or is it? I shouldn't use the word. Is it just hyped like one of those Angel Gomez thing where it's hyped and he's just off?
I am a big fan of his. I think I remember when he made his debut for us against Arsenal, and he played, I think, as a right back against Alexis Sanchez and was phenomenal at one-on-one dribbling. It's something that we praise Aaron Wan-Bissaka for, his ability to read the runs of fast technical players and can deal with it. I think
Raheem Sterling
for Wan-Bissaka. I mean, Axel Tuanzebe tracked the run, recovered against Kylian Mbappe, and just shrugged him off the ball. He has all the ability and all the capabilities to be a fantastic centre back. It's just about getting a few runs of games, kicking on, and just having that little bit of form. I think the fact is that he's not quite used to recovering for Maguire as much. I don't think that's a combination to use now. I think it's something to try out in pre-season next summer or in the summer, because certainly,
if you want to play Axel Tuanzebe, then the most ideal partner we have at this club is Lindelof.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that because I think they complement each other the better way.
And they're both are very intelligent players. Both of them are very intelligent. I don't want to say this. Harry Maguire isn't intelligent, but Harry Maguire is organized. That's a big difference. If I look at the great centre-back pairings in Premier League, as a United fan, one of the favorite pairings I ever had in Premier League was Ricardo Carvalho and John Terry, because both of them were extremely opposite to each other. John Terry was more like a sweeper, the ball-playing guy, but it was Ricardo Carvalho who was the brain behind that defense because he exactly knew where the run of the player was. Of course, they had a Claude Makelele up front, who could help them screen that. We obviously don't have it. But people don't recognize the value of Ricardo Carvalho, and there's a reason why they only considered 6 goals in Premier League. That's insane. Of course, you can say that it was defensive, whatever, but conceding 6 is not a joke. Post that, right, one centre-back pairing which I really liked, was obviously Vidic and Ferdinand. because they were opposites of each other. It's like silk and cotton, right? They're just two different people. One was a hard tackling centre back, the other was all class. I really want to see someone go into that level. I obviously understand that I'm comparing two different kind of defensive partnership, but personally, I still believe that Lindelof is not cut out for Premier League because of his biggest weakness, which is aerial balls. And you can only have a Pep Guardiola's team not playing aerial balls or a Liverpool not playing aerial balls, but the rest 18 are going to bombard you with aerial balls. There is no escape from that. You talk about Southampton. If you have a striker like Che Adams and Danny Ings up front, of course you're going to put the ball up front. Then you have Everton, where Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a single striker. They put the ball up front. You have a team like Fulham, where because the wingers will keep running inside and they will put the aerial balls for the striker inside. We saw against West Brom. You look at Burnley. Jay Rodriguez is always sniffing and waiting for a chance. I've just named 7 or 8 teams, and I don't even want to go into the length of Harry Kane and likes of others, because there's Mourinho who always believes in aerial balls. So 18. So out of the 2 teams, barring Liverpool and City, 18 of them are going to play aerial balls. Somewhere either Lindelof has to learn it, but I don't think he will, because you can't teach it. You have it or you don't have it as a centre back, the ability to head the ball. Or else United will have to find a replacement for him soon.
Well, I mean, they're obviously looking at different players. I think Jules Koundé is the name on everyone's lips, and I think he's going to be the one that they're going to look at the most clearly. But we'll stray away from that point in a little bit, because it's obviously up for debate. I think Bailly will actually start against Newcastle, because I think if Callum Wilson's injured, it's going to be either Joe Linton or Andy Carroll, and they're both target men. You know what you're going to get.
And the guy who gives people random FPL point, Alexei Maximum. So,
of course, absolutely. But we'll get onto that in a bit. Let's talk more about Sociedad, who obviously Bailly did start again in that game, and it was obviously, I was quite worried about this game, mostly because of our record against Spanish sides, the fact that we hadn't won in 9 games since that away game against Celta Vigo in 2017. And the fact is that they've got a fantastic front four, whether it's Porto or Januzaj on the right. It's
Alexander Isak up front, David Silva and Ozil,
who scored 5 in his last 5 league games. Ozyarabal and of course David Silva, and it was worrying, really.
I was sick of that name, David Silva, for a decade.
Absolutely, exactly. I mean, he's a fantastic player, even at 33, 34. And the thing is, I was worried about it, but as soon as and I think Prashanth has left just for a second, just disconnected, but I'll keep talking. So essentially, it was that David Silva. Oh, he's back.
Sorry, my bad.
Just lost a second.
Sorry. So I was saying, when you said the name David Silva, and I was like, not Aguero. Please, not Aguero.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, is that we were worried about it, but then I looked at the team sheet and I thought I knew exactly how this team's going to play. Daniel James is on that team sheet, so we're going to play counter-attacking football. And I thought it was going to work, and it did. We started so brightly, other than the 2 minor errors by Eric Bailly, warming up, getting a bit of rust off his legs after that long-term injury, but started brightly. Rashford had a good chance to score, but it was a difficult chance at the first one. The second one was a horrible miss, but got ahead, and of course, who else to bring us ahead but Bruno Fernandes, and he scored twice. One from a bit of a calamitous mix-up between the goalkeeper and the striker, centre-back, a bit like Kabak and Alisson. But
and then Daniel James trying to assist him, and then Bruno said, "You know what? I'm going to take it. I can't waste time anymore."
Yeah, and of course, and it was a fantastic finish because it was behind him initially, so it was fantastic. And then United just sat back, countered, caused problems. The goalkeeper was forced into a lot of saves. Some brilliant attacking football, and 2 really, really good counter-attacking goals from Rashford and James to seal off the win. A lot to talk about in that match. Firstly, 4 away goals. I get that it's in Turin, and it's not necessarily Sociedad's home stadium, but 4 away goals against the top 5 side in Spain, something that we're famously struggling with this season, is beating top 6 sides. So to do that, I mean, is it a big statement, do you think? just in general, or just for the Europa League?
I think, Arjun, when I saw the lineup, right, I was thinking, are we going for it or are we going to sit back? Because I wasn't sure. I definitely knew it was going to be a counter-attack game. I mean, there's no two ways about it. When you have Daniel James, Scott McTominay playing in that lineup, you obviously know you're going to play a counter-attacking game. Because if you look at the team formation, right, we started with a 4-2-3-1 with obviously Mason Greenwood playing up front. He was the number 9 in that game. And I thought, you know what, probably we're going to hit on counters, but we're going to play the wait and watch game. It might be cagey. And of course, Eric Bailly in the first 2 minutes, made sure that every United fan was awake, saying that, no, you don't do that. Please stay calm. But after a point of time, right, United kind of grew into the game. The first half was, I don't want to use the word, it was a bit boring because United were missing chances and, Sociedad were happy to sit back. I was thinking the game is not going anywhere. We might just nick one goal here or there and come back to play at Old Trafford where these guys will again turn up. I didn't want to see that scenario. The second half, I don't know what happened to Manchester United. We played as if we played Manchester City this year. Of course, we didn't get a result against Man City, but Man City suddenly realized that, you know what, they are not weak. They will hit us. And we started hitting Sociedad on counters. Of course, City had the quality, so they defended. Sociedad didn't know what hit them. And that started right from Daniel James, a player who most United fans have been critical of, saying that why is he in the squad? What does he offer? Apart from pace, he does not offer anything, etc., etc. But it was his pace which caused all sorts of problem for Sociedad. And I think the game became a lot more calmer as soon as players like Nemanja Matic came on, because United suddenly understood that the game is well within our reach. We might as well slow down the tempo. The scoring of 4 goals, right? It's a statement which Manchester United have put out to teams, saying that you sit back, we are going to hit you on counters. So now the teams will want to attack us, and if they attack us, we are again going to attack them back, because we clearly can't play defensive football. Our best way of attack is counter attack. So we have put out a statement to people or the teams in Europa League that we might just go for this trophy. Because I remember before the match, a lot of people said that United should just get out of this league and just concentrate on the Premier League and FA Cup, etc., etc. But for me, Premier League is out of reach. With the kind of form which Man City is showing in, with the game in hand and almost 7 points difference. I don't see City slipping up from here, because if it was Liverpool, I would still give them a chance that they can slip up, but Pep Guardiola wouldn't. And the team does not look weak at all. That City team looks like a well-drilled unit, with the addition of Ruben Dias and coming back of John Stones form. So I thought, let's, for time being, forget that we are in the Premier League race. Let's forget that. Let's think about the two trophies which we have in hand. One is the FA Cup and Europa. Priority for me is a trophy. I don't care if you buy the FA Cup or win it, or the Europa League, whatever. But just get a goddamn trophy, because the team needs it. Because if you have a set of players who are achieving their peak and they have not won anything, frustration would creep in and they'll say, you know what, I'm moving to a bigger team. I don't want that. And these players are putting their heart and soul in it. And it was clearly visible when we drew against all these teams that almost everyone was annoyed. It's not just us. These players were annoyed, right? From Maguire to, obviously, Bruno always gets that reaction from people because he is what he is, right? But almost even I remember after the West Brom game, right? David Gea was visibly very annoyed.
Yeah.
Because he just couldn't see that. Sorry?
Throughout the game, I remember I could just see him screaming at the defenders, like, why is he going to these positions?
Yeah, and this United team suddenly has started to believe that we might just be in the race, but we have to keep winning to keep the pressure on Man City. That is one part of it. And this kind of a statement has set out to most teams in Europa, saying that we're not pushovers. We are coming for the title, which is the Europa League, which would cause a lot of panic to teams, because no one wants to face a team which is so fast. I mean, no defender likes pacey players, because at the end of the day, these players will try and get down in the box or take a shot. So that is one. And a lot of things are riding on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this season, because no one expected where United are at this point of time. He's already reached it. It's about sustenance now, and that's his real test for me.
Well, I think the thing is that there's a difference between getting a trophy to make a bad season look better and getting a trophy to galvanize the team to be a better team. Because the thing is that in looking back, the Europa League and Carabao Cup ones were fantastic trophies to get because it built on the FA Cup. But realistically, it made what was a really a horrible, struggling season look better than it was. And it got us into the Champions League, which was hugely important because we needed to be on a bigger stage. And the team got more funding. Matic came in and did a brilliant job. Lukaku came in and did a brilliant job. Lindelof came in and added depth to that centre-back pairing. And then things looked okay.
Got added.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing, is that then we didn't get any trophies at the end of the year, and then things started to fall and things went wrong. But the thing is, with this time round, if we won, say, just the Europa League, or finished second, won 2 trophies, so any kind of combination of that, but with silverware and top 2, top 3, ideally second, or even close to Man City, because I think they're running away with it now. But that would show that we've come over that mental block of not being able to win silverware with this team, not being able to compete for a title till almost the very end.
You know, we would be questioned like the Spurs of Pochettino. Can play great football. Yeah, can play great football, are very good in big games, can qualify for the knockout, whatever, but they can't win. Why? They don't have the winning mentality. Isn't that what entire Premier League said about Pochettino? How on earth can you come third in a 2-horse race? That is criminal. You can't do that. And throughout his life, right, throughout his career at Spurs, right, Pochettino has done a brilliant job. Had done a brilliant job, if I had to say. But then what is his moment of fame? No one will talk about how he got, Harry Kane to become one of the best strikers, etc., etc. Everyone will always say that, you know what, the year when Leicester won the title, remember, they went to Stamford Bridge. They couldn't hold on to their number and they finished third. That is the hallmark of the Spurs side in a negative way, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't want Manchester United to be that kind of a team where people say they can play great football, they'll qualify for the semi-finals, but they don't have that leadership, nor do they have that mentality to go and win the final. And once you reach the knockout stages like a quarter-final or semi-final, right? It's not just football. It's about the mentality and the desire to win as well. That's why we were so successful for years, right? Because the 10 players or the 11 players out there had more desire to win than the man who sat in the dugout, because they knew if they didn't win here, they are in for a hairdryer from an old man who is not going to take it. So they made sure they won it. This United team currently needs to start having that attitude, saying that I don't care, I want to win this trophy. That's what Bruno Fernandes is doing for this team. That's why people adore him so much. So many United fans adore him because he does not like being second. He wants to win it. And, you know, if you remember the game after Sociedad, he gave a statement saying that I am not bothered about scoring goal or assist. I just want to win a trophy now because it's high time I won a trophy.
Yeah. And I think the thing is that the way things have gone in some of the cups that we're still in, it's positive, and it sort of makes it. I mean, we could have had some really, really tough draws. There was Chelsea and City and all sorts left in the FA Cup. We have still a tough game. No disrespect at all. Absolutely, Leicester's going to be a very tough game. I think it's away as well.
Yeah, it's away.
Which only makes things more difficult because they're obviously very capable at the King Power. So I think it's going to be tough, but it's certainly not. We could have had Man City. We could have had, I think, Chelsea. We could have had someone like that. So then the Europa League, we pretty much got the toughest draw that we probably could have got, other than maybe Napoli. And even then, they lost 2-0 to Grenada in the first leg. So you never know what's going to happen with them. But we've then smashed them out of the park and were able to give Amad Diallo a debut for 7 or 8 minutes, and I mean it was a fantastic debut. Really, I think he really showed everything that he's about. Really, 100% successful dribbles. I think he created one chance, he made great runs, and he just brought a bit more excitement into United fans about what's going to happen in the future. The fact, I think you've got that wonderful picture of Greenwood coming off and Diallo coming on, and it's like, Wonder Kid replacing a wonder kid. I mean, it's
reminded me of someone who made his debut long back, in 2003, 2004.
Something like that,
Yeah. Don't remember him.
Yeah.
Tried. He missed a penalty in a crucial game, though. Not a bad player for his career.
Yeah. Never won a Ballon d'Or, did he? No.
Yeah. He said he'll shave off his head if he doesn't score 40 goals, and then he did score 40 goals.
Yeah, there it is. But yeah, and that is, I mean, that's the main thing, is that this team has to win a trophy. Bottom line, end of this season, there has to be something like that to show for it. We can't be saying top four is not alone.
And it's not just the team, Arjun, it's also for the manager.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
With his,
because he will be questioned after the end of the year saying that you got what you wanted. Forget not getting Jadon Sancho. That's out of question. But the board will question him. You wanted a left back, we gave you. You wanted an upgrade over goalkeeper, we said don't send Dean Henderson. You took that decision. You wanted to add a striker, we've added a striker, and he scored goals for you as well. But what have you won?
Yeah, that's the
there
thing.
Will be questions on. There will be questions on him, 101%. If God forbid he goes trophyless.
And here's the other thing: is that if we get a trophy, if we look like we're moving forward, then third place finish, 3 semi-finals. If we move forward from that, that might have repercussions for the whole squad. I mean, you never know. Paul Pogba has never looked happier at Manchester United. Even when he's injured, he's looking happy. You see his post.
He's traveling with the squad. He traveled with the squad the other day at Sociedad.
He's watching the game. He's celebrating, and everyone respects him in the squad and loves him in the squad. I think, if we're looking like we're going to be becoming title contenders, Champions League regulars, silverware chasers, then he could sign that deal and say, I want to be part of this, because he's going to leave a massive hole if he does go. And that looks like it's more likely than not at this point, but he's going to leave a massive hole. And historically, United under the Glazers have been completely incapable of replacing the big players. Yeah. Ronaldo, Rooney, Carrick, Vidic, Ferdinand. It's not happening. Evra, Gary Neville. We haven't had a right winger for 10 years.
We took 10 years to replace Peter Schmeichel to Edwin van der Sar. So let's put it that way.
Well, I mean, that sums it up, really. So that's
we had to go to a team like Fulham and then ask for a guy who moved from Ajax, because we thought he was 34 back then. We thought, he's a half a decent keeper for a year or two. But then he went on to play till he was 40. But whatever. But we never replaced even someone like Peter Schmeichel.
Yeah, well, obviously it took ages. So there you go. But I mean, it's the big thing, is that winning trophies will help this squad move forward. With Pogba, even without Pogba, it will still move forward. But I think if we do look much better, it will move on with Pogba, because I think he looks very happy here. And I think he's got... Obviously, I have a lot of respect for Jose Mourinho, but he has a manager who respects him and gives him, understands what he needs, really. I think Mourinho wanted Pogba to play a different way, whereas Ollie's letting Pogba play the way he wants to.
Mourinho wanted Hazard to play as a wing back.
Well, and
he wants Son to track back, and he's expecting Paul Pogba to track back. Not happening.
Well, there you go. We'll move on from that, because we've got a lot to cover still, and we've included our poll, which actually will include Paul Pogba, we expect, because it is what is our best midfield. So obviously we use a lot of the time the old reliable Scots, McTominay, Fred, Bruno Fernandes in the 3. We've obviously got to factor in Nemanja Matic, Paul Pogba, Donny van de Beek. You could even throw in Juan Mata in there. But I think certainly there's 6 players that we need to think about in a midfield. And even then, is it a midfield 3? Is it a diamond? Or is it maybe pushing Pogba onto the wing? I mean, what is it for you? How do you think this team functions best in the midfield?
It depends on who we are playing, right? I mean, if you're playing a team like Arsenal, I don't want a diamond, because they'll just rip us apart, because they want teams who play diamond against them, because someone like a Thomas Partey enjoys that much kind of time on the ball and then tackle and get back, right? If we want to play a counter-attacking system, then I'll go for a 4-3-3. In that sense, my midfield 3 will be Fred, Matic, and McTominay. 3 of the, apparently so-called 3 slow players. Because Matic gives you that balance in that midfield, which McTominay or Fred does not. Fred can pass the ball up front. Okay,
Okay.
Sorry, I did I say yeah? And then you have someone like a McTominay who can be a good box to box. Obviously, I'm considering this team without Bruno Fernandes for time being because there's too much dependency on that gentleman. Obviously, when Bruno comes in, we are going to play with a 4-2-3-1. There is no change in that fact. I'm just considering this without Bruno Fernandes. Then I'd go for
Okay.
these three, right? And we have Pogba injured round. So these are all the possibilities which I'm thinking. Another possibility which I really enjoy seeing United is when Pogba goes on to the wings. Okay, and the reason why I enjoy it is that unlike a Marcus Rashford who can dribble, get inside the box, and gets pushed over, Pogba does not get pushed over.
Yeah.
Pogba gets inside the box, and we all know his passing range. With a long ball or with a short pass, Pogba is lethal. At that point of time, I want my midfield to be more of a Fred, McTominay, and Bruno. Pogba on the left wing, or I'll obviously play him on the left wing because he's more of a right-footed passer, so it's easier for him to go that way. If not that, I'm a huge fan of Nemanja Matic, but then I currently like the combination of Fred and McTominay because it's too difficult to dislodge both of them. Matic does not, get inside this lineup very easily now. Unless you want to really slow down the game, you want to just make sure the ball is just moving around, then Matic replaces McTominay. Or else I don't think Matic is coming back into this lineup so easily.
Well, actually, I thought when he came on as well, like you said, against Sociedad, he was really composed. He was strong. He read the game well, and he can. The thing is, the one thing that he has that Fred, well, traditionally or historically hasn't, is the ability to make incisive passes forward into players without it being.
There's one more thing which he has, Arjun, which is a very underrated trait of most people, which is time. Matic has got time on the ball. It's like when you play cricket, right? There's a guy called as Rohit Sharma. He's got the gift of timing because he can see the ball a second or two earlier. Matic has got the time. But what goes against him is his pace. He can think quick, but he cannot act quick because players close him down.
Yeah.
And most teams who will play United sooner or later, they all know that you take out Bruno Fernandes from this team, don't give them space, they will not know what to do. That's my worry where Matic does not add up to this lineup.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that now that is happening a lot more, I think there's a lot more input from Harry Maguire. I think the last few games, he's basically been playing like a left winger at points against West Brom, cutting in onto his right foot. And actually the goal came from him driving forward, giving it to Shaw, who put in the ball for Fernandes. So I think that's the thing, is that Maguire's having a lot more of an impact in attack, which is something that I think we don't quite appreciate right now. But I think the more you see it, the more you'll appreciate it. It's something you don't notice straight away. Almost like the impact Dan James had when we were playing counter-attacking football over the midway point of last season, before Bruno came in. The way we played against Spurs and City and Norwich and Chelsea, all those. Norwich. I mean, it just reminded me the one where he broke and then he put in that lovely pass to Rashford, the crossfield one.
Even the game against Sheffield this year, right? Even the game against Sheffield this year, Maguire was fabulous. I mean, it's not that we were sleeping and then we got lost or whatever. Maguire's quality has never been questioned in that sense of his passing range. Obviously, the question is his pace, which is the biggest worry.
But that's something he can't deal with. It's something that he has to have people around him to help with, and that's where Bailly comes in. That's where someone like a Jules Koundé could come in, because I watched.
That's why I never like this comparison of Van Dijk and Maguire, because they both are different kind of players. You can't compare. A Van Dijk. I remember Van Dijk running back to Kylian Mbappe, tackling him, taking the ball out, and then passing. Van Dijk can do that because he's quick. He's blessed with a very athletic body in that sense, where he's fast, he's quick, he can win the ball, go back.
Strides.
But long strides. For you and me, if we take 10 steps, Van Dijk would have to take 2. Then we'll be like, oh my God, he just covered the whole run. But what Maguire is blessed with, which Van Dijk does not have, which I have not seen in Van Dijk's game as of now in that sense, is that Van Dijk is not a great organizer of the defense. Van Dijk himself is the great organizer. Right, when Van Dijk stops, Joe Gomez automatically falls into Van Dijk's line because Van Dijk is clearly miles ahead of his game.
Yeah.
Right. So as soon as Van Dijk comes back, the entire backline knows that there is someone who who's seen something and he's suddenly gone back, so I might as well just listen to him. Harry Maguire doesn't do that. Harry Maguire has to yell at Lindelof saying that
Yeah.
come back. He has to constantly remind Luke Shaw that your man. And right now, because thankfully there is no, supporters. I shouldn't say thankfully, but we can listen to the chatter of the players. That
Yeah.
I remember Harry Maguire yelling to Luke Shaw in the West Brom game, saying that your man, don't leave him. And he yelled so loudly, and you could clearly see that he's trying to organize the defense. Van Dijk doesn't need to organize the defense because they are self-organized in a way. Because hardly Trent and Robertson do not defend; they only cross the ball. Obviously, Robertson runs back, etc., etc. But they're much better players than what United have currently. Last year's Liverpool, so they're too different and they're poles apart. We just can't just blame them saying that 75 million Van Dijk gave you Premier League for Liverpool and 80 million Maguire has given you 3 MLS. That's a very lame comparison.
Well, absolutely, and I think the thing is that they're totally different players, and you can't really compare. It's just not the same. It's like trying to say, well, I still think that it's ridiculous to try and compare the likes of Lampard and Scholes because they're two totally different players, and it isn't the same thing. It's like trying to compare Carrick and Michael Owen. It just doesn't work. But it's one of those.
I know who I'm going to choose in my team. So
sorry,
I know who I'm going to choose in my team if it's between Carrick and Owen.
Oh well, yeah. Well, one's not just painfully boring to listen to on BT Sport punditry.
Oh, my goodness. So apparently everything what United does is not quality, and Liverpool still have the quality. So
I you know what? I saw something where it was like I saw a tweet the other day, which is Michael Owen a Man United legend, and I thought the one time where I knew that became a completely non-existent topic was when Rashford had the penalty against PSG and he said never a penalty. Is that right? Get in the bin. That's not happening. That's the end.
And I still don't understand. Legend, no. Great player, no. But he did his job. We paid him for what job he did, and off. That's it. I wouldn't even call him a cult hero. Yeah, I wouldn't even call him a cult hero. For me, cult hero was someone like Larsson. Henrik Larsson came in, scored worldies. He might have scored 5 goals or 6 goals, shot 3 months, went back to Helsingborg. But that guy is a cult hero for me because
Haaland's a cult hero.
Yeah, I mean, we chased him year after year. He kept saying, no, Celtic is my home. Went to Barcelona. He went back to Helsingborg. He said, you know what, finally I'll go to Manchester United. I'll have a 3-month break I have with Helsingborg, but I have to get back with them. Came here, scored against Aston Villa in the FA Cup on his debut. Never bad-mouthed about us. He always said that it's my biggest regret not to play for this club, etc., etc., etc. He knows where to draw a line. And Michael Owen just does not understand it. And I mean, fair, he's got an opinion. I don't blame him. But sometimes you also have to understand that you just can't be so obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move on from that because I think we sort of covered everything needed. And like you said, our midfield, it's difficult to give a midfield our best midfield because we have a midfield for one scenario, we have another midfield for another scenario, and I think that thing
Sorry to interrupt, Arjun. We haven't even spoken about Donny van de Beek.
We haven't, no. And I think personally, he has to start midweek against Sociedad. Otherwise, obviously he had a muscular injury which ruled him out of the game, which I think he probably would have started had he not been injured. But I think if he's back and ready, then there's nothing that should be able to stop him from starting. And I think him, Matic, and maybe Bruno as well, just because you need someone to feed Van der Beek because he's making the runs, but no one can pick him out. And no Pogba available. Fred can't do it. McTominay can't do it. No, they just can't. So it's got to be Matic and it's got to be Bruno. But even Mata. I could see Mata starting that game. But we'll get onto that in a bit. We'll talk briefly about Newcastle. Obviously, Chelsea. Sorry?
The boogie team for us.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that we've had some bad losses to them, but weirdly enough, we've beaten them 4-1 twice back to back. 4-1 Old Trafford on Boxing Day, I think. 4-1 at St James Park earlier this season, and we've conceded the first goal in the last last 3 games against them, and
We
we've
always
won.
concede against them. Yeah, you're right. We always concede against them first.
Yeah, yeah. And we've always come back to we've come back to win the last 2. So omens are good, and they're missing Callum Wilson, I think, and they're defensively questionable right now, which is something that we thought about West Brom as well. So it normally means they're going to put in a defensive masterclass. But for me, I either see it being a difference of 1 goal and a really struggling game, or we're going to rip them apart. It's not going to be like a 2-0 comfortable win. It'll either be 4-0, 5-0, 5-1, or it'll be a 1-0 or 1-1 or something like that. I genuinely can't tell which one it's going to be, but I know it's not going to be something like a Jose Mourinho 2-0.
Correct. I completely agree with you. I have no second thoughts of it. Either we are going to blow them apart in the first 15, 20 minutes and Newcastle will not know what hit them, or it's going to be a long 90 minutes for us. Because Steve Bruce's team only swing both ways, high or the low. They don't swing in between. That's one of the biggest criticism which he's having this season. That's why they are 17th. And people are calling for his head because they think he needs to go because they don't play attractive football anymore or whatever. But having said that, right, if Edinson Cavani starts that game, it'll probably be a big test for him.
Yeah.
Because Newcastle is not an easy team to score.
Yeah.
They are very compact that way. Like I said, they swing 2 ways. Either they will be extremely good defensively and Cavani will not get a sniff, or they'll just leak goals all around. Cavani can actually call up Sergio Aguero and then just ask them, what is your record against Newcastle? And he'll say, I always score a hat trick because they just give me so much spaces. So,
well, here's the thing: is that we saw that earlier this year. They drew 1-1 to Liverpool. Defensively brilliant. Fabian Schär, Dubravka excellent. Or was it Darlow was excellent. And then
they won 2-0 against Chelsea.
Yeah. And then they lost 5-1 to Leeds or something. Or was it 5-2? Something like that.
5-2. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It was baffling. I don't get it. And it's just what it is. We can either blow them away or we're going to struggle. But here's the question: how do you line up the team? I think McTominay is going to be injured based on the way he came off against Sociedad. Pogba's definitely out, and it remains to be seen whether Van der Beek and Cavani can play. But let's just start. Is your goalkeeper still going to be David De Gea?
Of course, there is no chance I'm dropping David De Gea because of West Brom game. Of course, he did well in the West Brom game. Dean needs to start, but I think Europa is a perfect platform for Dean Henderson where he can test his skills because he's coming against good teams in Europe. And then, if we obviously can integrate him in the Premier League sooner or later, that's one. My defense partnership would be Harry Maguire and Lindelof.
Oh,
I'm not dropping Lindelof for Eric Bailly or vice versa, because if I want to win a trophy, I would want to keep Eric Bailly fresh. I don't want him to play against Newcastle where he comes against the likes of Saint Maxim and then they just dribble and he gets injured or he takes a stupid yellow card or a foul. I don't want it at all. I want to protect Eric Bailly at all costs. So my centre-back pairing would be Harry Maguire, Lindelof. Luke Shaw, obviously you can't drop him. Luke Shaw and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, the only right back at this club. So Wan-Bissaka automatically plays in. My midfield would be Fred and Matic.
Yeah.
I would start Matic in that game because if Scott McTominay does not recover, or I think he'll not play against Newcastle. I don't think that injury against Sociedad looked a bit difficult for me to recover in that sense. So I'll start Matic with
the Chelsea game.
Yeah, and also, right, I think it's a good game for Matic because Newcastle are not going to press so hard like Liverpool or City. They would give you time, and it's a good. And someone like Fred will get that freedom to explore, which he's very good at. My front three, when I say front three, when I'm saying 4-2-3, my three would be Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, and Mason Greenwood. I am not starting Anthony Martial. If Edinson Cavani recovers, he will start up front. If not, Mason Greenwood moves up to the top. Rashford on the right wing, Martial on the left wing.
Okay.
To be very honest with you, right? I'm not. I just don't want Anthony Martial to start anymore. When I say anymore, not like for the foreseeable future, but I still think Anthony Martial is best when used as a substitute. I clearly see that he's a bit out of form and bit out of rhythm as of now, and Edinson Cavani is firing all cylinders. So I just don't want to tinker that combination where Edinson Cavani starts and then you bench him and then get him on. No, I don't want to see that change at all, because what Edinson Cavani is bringing into this team is that his movement is so lethal. Defenders can't understand where do you mark him, because he's making those shadow runs, which Anthony Martial does not. Because Anthony Martial has got a template of attack. You get the ball, he'll drift to the left, he'll drift to the right, then he'll try and score a worldie. Or he'll try and get you a one-on-one and score. With Edinson Cavani, there is no pattern. You look at all the goals he scored. He scored a header. He scored outside the box outside the box against Everton, when I'm saying just outside the box. Or inside the box, he scored from a left footer or a header from the top corner. There is no template for Edinson Cavani, and that's why he's probably world class, and he was world class for a good decade. There's no two ways about it. So I don't want to tinker that. With Mason Greenwood, I want to give him more chances on the wings, because
he's very creative, isn't
he? Exactly. He's creative. Clearly, he's got pace. It's just the finish which he's lacking, which I think is coming. It's a matter of time it will come, because even against the Sociedad game, he didn't have a bad game, just that he couldn't score. So I think the goals are coming for Mason Greenwood. Of course, one thing which I really want to see Rashford is dribble less. It's okay. You don't need to dribble so much. You don't need to dribble till the box, and then the defender wins the ball, and then you're just going back to the counter. So I just hope that United make these small tinkers in the game, and then possibly we might just have that 15 minutes explosion from Manchester United.
Well, I mean, I agree with pretty much almost all what you've said. I think the thing is, for me, I do disagree that Martial's best position is a sub. I think he is a starting number 9. However, I agree absolutely with what you're saying. Cavani's playing really well. Martial's not. Don't change that. And I think also playing him on the wing does nothing for the team. It does nothing for his confidence, because he's changed his physique to become more of a striker. So putting him out on the wing is putting him back into a position that he's no longer the best at being, because he's much.
I completely agree, Arjun. But the point is, right, you can't drop him. We don't have anyone who can else. Then you'll have to play someone like an Amad Diallo, which I'm not comfortable putting him in the first team as of now, because I still think he's too raw for it.
No, I know. I think Mata would be perfect for this, though. I think the thing is,
he loves Newcastle.
Yeah, well, I mean, he already did really well in the reverse fixture, but I just think that his creativity will add something to Newcastle's low block. But again, I could see it being a diamond. Van der Beek coming in, maybe him and Bruno, and then Fred and Matic play all our fit midfielders at once, and then see what happens. But no, absolutely, I don't think if Cavani's fit, Martial shouldn't start, because you shouldn't break that rhythm that's going really well at the moment.
Having said that, Arjun, there is Daniel James, who is also in for a reckoning now, because suddenly, right? Suddenly everyone is looking at saying that Martial can't do anything at wings, so he has to come as a sub for Edinson Cavani, which means if Rashford or Greenwood, God forbid, have a bad game, then it is going to be Mata or Daniel James who's going to replace them. So all of a sudden, Daniel James has got a shout.
Yeah, I think the thing is that something I saw in the Sociedad game was something we hadn't seen a lot of from him, is that he was making those direct runs. He was actually running past players instead of running at them, into them, which is great, because it's showing how much he's developing. He's already equaled the amount of goals he scored for the whole of last season, which is showing progress, even though he has a hugely reduced role from the last season, where he was essentially being the starting right winger until Greenwood started to really shine in the latter stages of the season. So I think that's really huge for him. I really hope he can continue and just kick on and keep being. I think he's going to be an influential squad player off the bench, starting the odd game, playing counter-attack. He offers something for this team, and I it's very clear that what that is now. But you're right. I think the thing is that if he plays on the left, he's going to be a little bit more direct. He's going to want to cut in, but he can also put in a cross. Whereas on the right, he's got one option, which is just to cross it, maybe make a darting run on the counter-attack. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Solskjaer decides for the lineup. But predictions, do you think it's going to be, which way do you think it's going to swing?
I think we're going to be a couple of years back in 2010-11, where we did a 4-3 kind of a game, right? Against Newcastle, Chicharito scored And then Alex Ferguson famously said they're just a weak club from the northeast. So I think it'll not be one of those games, but I think it'll be like a 3-1, 3-1 or 3-2 kind of a game. It's just not going to be that easy. It's just be a bit difficult because Steve Bruce has got his job on his line.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, I think it's going to be. I think we could get a clean sheet. I think. The thing is, I think Wan-Bissaka against Sam
Because I picked Lindelof in my team, right? So I have less hopes with a clean sheet.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's true. I think the thing is that Newcastle haven't been able to score goals, so which means that they're almost likely to score against us. But I think the thing is that we've started up. I think if we play Matic, we play Fred, we can soak up the attack and then play forward a little bit more expansively. And I think the battle between Wan-Bissaka and St. Maximin and Almiron and Shaw is going to be really, really big. And I'm quite excited to see how well they do, but also slightly nervous because St. Maximin could be the best player in the world and then just disappear for another game. He's one of those that needs a little bit more consistency, but has enough quality.
And at the centre back there is Jamal Lascelles. So he sometimes just turns up as if he's Yap Stam in his prime, and on odd days he's just Jamie Carragher with an own goal in him. So it's just one of those players.
And an injury as well.
Yeah,
he's hugely injury prone because I remember there was a point where he was like 22 and looking like one of the big prospects alongside John Stones or something, and then he just keeps getting injured. And it's a real shame for him, but because I mean he could have been really solid for a good stage, but he's the captain of Newcastle as well, which is something that people forget. But well, I'm going to go for a 4-0 win because I think we can really turn on the flair, especially if we get going the way we did against. Where we get going the way we were clinical against Sociedad. But let's turn to the Sociedad game. Reverse tie. Who do you want to see start from this team? For me, I'd like obviously Bailly. There's a chance to rest players. Williams, Tellez, Van der Beek, obviously, Mata, Martial for sure, and I wouldn't start Jallo, but I would certainly bring him on for about half an hour if things are all rosy. But I think you got to mix it up so that you have some of the starting players in to add a little bit of quality. Maybe you start, you definitely rest Rashford, but you could start Bruno for the first hour, take him off, or start Fred or McTominay or something like that. But what about for you? Would you make 11 changes or would you sort of keep it relatively strong?
Not 11 changes, but I would start Axel Tuanzebe in this game.
Okay.
Because I would definitely want him to see how does he do well against someone like an Adnan Januzaj versus a David Silva, all those kind of players, because they're very different from the likes of what we see in the Premier League, right? In Premier League, you have players who are very direct. They'll not think twice to take a man on. Adnan Januzaj had a bad game against us, but we clearly saw that the kid has matured. He's not just that old guy who just ran and then didn't know what to do. He clearly has matured. Then facing David Silva as well will be a big test for Axel Tuanzebe, because David Silva is not going to run 40 yards to get the ball. His ball will ping 50 yards and you will not even know Isaac has just turned behind you. That's what they do typically. So it'll be a good test for Axel Tuanzebe. I would definitely start Axel Tuanzebe and Eric Bailly together. Rest Maguire and Lindelof, because Maguire needs to be rested.
Yeah, I do. I absolutely agree.
Newcastle, then we have Chelsea as well. Not to forget, we are going to face Chelsea as well. Exactly, Man City later. It's going to be a tough run of fixtures where Maguire can't be rested at that point of time. So I would definitely rest Maguire. Then I would definitely start Brandon Williams and Alex Telles, because Telles does need a run of games. The keeper will be Dean Henderson. No changes in that. I would rest Fred in that game. I'll not start Fred. If McTominay is fit, I'll give McTominay and Matic a run. Both of them. Yeah, because it'll be interesting to see for me how they fix up as well. And McTominay, if fit, right, I don't want to straight away push him to the Chelsea game saying that, you're going to start this game. No, I don't want to just straight away start him in a big game. Just get inside the group. Bruno has to be rested for that game. I want Mata to play the number 10 role, because good game, right? So just let Mata play. I'm still not starting Van der Beek. I'm still not starting Van der Beek. I think Van der Beek needs a season like Fred, where a year he's just getting used to it and then play on. Because as much as I like him as a player, And I can go on and on about what he can bring into this team, but he still hasn't showed why he should be starting. Right?
Yeah.
Whenever he's given the ball, he tends to lose it a bit quickly, or it's most of his passes are back passes. And when you're a player who's playing next to a number 10, then the striker is expecting the ball from you, and you're not passing the ball. That's clearly because of lack of match rhythm. That's understandable. So
Oh yeah.
I just don't want to rush him so much in the Sociedad game where all the pressure comes into him, saying that you were injured in the home game. Now we have a tie. It's just no kind of a game. No, let us ease him on. It's okay. We have enough players to cover. Um,
Fair enough.
I'll definitely start Anthony Martial in the game. Rashford has to be rested. If not Amad Diallo, I'd start Daniel James in that game because he deserves it. He deserves that start now. And then on the right side, I would keep Mason Greenwood. I'm not resting Mason Greenwood because I think, I want him to start scoring goals, right? And he's itching to score more. He's near. If God forbid he does not score against Newcastle, then I would want him to start that game against Sociedad so that he scores, because Mason Greenwood might be the X factor for us in this season. It was Paul Pogba for the first half, not say first half, first later half of the first part of the season, right? Paul Pogba was a difference in all those games. I think Mason Greenwood might be the difference in the later half. For that, he has to start scoring.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do you see him scoring in that game? What's your prediction for the score? Do you think it's going to be another?
No, I think we'll play a 2-0 kind of a game and then shut off Sociedad.
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to exert so much pressure because we already got 4 away goals. Sociedad will have to play out of the skin, like how Barcelona played against PSG. That kind of a game Sociedad have to do. Of all the things which I've been critical of Ole, right? One thing which I clearly know about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is that he's a man for occasions. He knows how to handle a team's emotions during occasions. Obviously, we have lost semi-finals because of individual errors, whatever. But or even in the Champions League, but he clearly knows the occasion, and these players will be up for it. As much as I want United to see go for the kill, but no, I want to take care of the Chelsea and the City game later. That's my priority. Even if you don't win the Premier League title, right? I want to see it competitive. Right now, we are 10 points off them. Just make it a life. Yeah.
The intent to compete.
Yes, we just show. It's like this. It's like a dog showing the teeth, not biting it. Just show the teeth. Just scare them. Just make them think that they are not going to just push over.
Yeah. Well, I don't want it to be another thing where we have to go to the Etihad and not lose, so we don't give them the title again. Because I don't know what would happen, because it's going to be a really, really nervy game at the Etihad, because I know exactly how we're going to play, and I don't know whether City will expect it or just decide, right, we're just going to
go for the killer. City will go for the kill from now on. City can't play defensive football. Even they have a great defense now. They just don't know. They're not made for it. All they know is that outscore and win.
Yeah.
And you look at the City runs, the run of games which Guardiola has got. He's playing Arsenal, which is going to be a big game for them. But the City team looks unstoppable. Someone has to put brakes to them, or else they'll close the Premier League within 3 weeks now.
Do you think it's going to be 3? You think it's going to be that early? It's 10 points, so it's what we've played 24 games. So you think they're going to win it by week 27?
Which team in the Premier League do you think are good enough to beat Man City?
Is that mathematically possible?
No, mathematically possible. They need to win 9 games. Not 9 games. They need to win 7 games.
Right. Okay.
There will be 31 games. So 24 plus 7 will be 31. So that's done.
Yeah.
I think they have a double game week in 28, if I'm not wrong. 28 or 29. They have a double game week.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I mean, I do see them winning it still. I think they've done really well. And even though like Gundogan's gone out injured, De Bruyne's back, so they're fine. But
just think about it, right? If you're a team, you're going to think, what? There's no Kevin De Bruyne. Mark Gundogan game is, and then like, oh my God, Kevin De Bruyne is back. Aguero is back. Who do I mark?
You just got to run and hide. But I will just quickly, last thing before we finish, is the Liverpool game is going to start in just 25 minutes. Team sheets are out, and it is about as full strength as it goes. It looks like Everton are going to be playing a back 5 with a Diamond in midfield, and then just Richarlison up top on his own. Liverpool have pretty much got their strongest team out. Alisson's back. Alexander-Arnold, Kabak, Henderson, Robertson, Thiago Wijnaldum, Jones, Salah, Firmino, Mane. And for Everton, Pickford is back. And then it's Dean, Godfrey, Keane, Holgate, Coleman, Gomez, Davis, Doucouré, James, and Richarlison. So just quickly, your predictions. Do you think it's going to be cagey, or do you think Liverpool are going to sweep them away?
It's going to be a cagey game. It's a Merseyside derby. So it's definitely going to be cagey, and I really hope Everton win this game.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't want to see that Liverpool team, starting to rise. If sometimes, like you rightly said, sometimes you just need a game and that can galvanize the team. I just don't want it to be the Merseyside derby where they just galvanize. Having said that, one last question, Arjun. What do you think of Curtis Jones? Is he a good player and rated so highly by people? I honestly didn't think he was special, but yes, he's got the composure of a top player.
I think he is one of the underrated youngsters in the Premier League. I think we're all talking about Hudson-Odoi, Foden, Saka, Greenwood, and quite rightly so. But I think he's sort of not really been talked about as much. I do like the way he plays. I think he's been given a license of freedom to attack a little bit more. And I think he scores goals. He creates goals. He looks like he's trying to play forward passes, which is something
great composure. Yeah, I love that in a midfielder. I just love that in a midfielder when you are aware of time and people around you. You can't buy that quality.
He's so well-rounded as a midfielder. I think Liverpool have got a good one there. So, but we'll see how he kicks on. And obviously he'll be starting today. Where he did actually score a winner in a Merseyside derby in the FA Cup, a 1-0 win, I think 2 years ago.
I remember.
It was a fantastic one. But the thing is, while I do think Everton winning is beneficiary for United, I don't know if you saw, but there was some TikTok video where someone did "We Will Rock You" to an Everton thing, and it was the most painful thing I've ever witnessed in my life.
Really?
So, yeah, look on Twitter after the podcast. Just look on Twitter to Everton "We Will Rock You." Just it's something terrifying.
What's wrong with people?
I know, man. I know. Anyway, we'll leave it there. That is all we have time for this week. Thank you for listening. Thanks for joining me, Prashant. It's a pleasure talking to you as always. And hopefully we'll be looking forward to 2 back-to-back wins, which we've not had for a very, it feels like ages. It's been ages since we've had 2 wins in a row, something like that. Yeah. And hopefully we'll be looking forward to that for the first time in a while. If you have anything you'd like for us to discuss in the next podcast, please comment below on the live chat or on the Twitter poll. And if you enjoyed this, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on Twitter